should have that, whatever it's called, maybe not even need glasses.
Yeah.
But I was, I was always a little leery of that sort of thing.
Just let me know. Everybody, it's 5 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Thank you for coming tonight, September the 8th. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, so I'll just start with the items to discuss. We're going to have a second reading of ordinance 2025-07 to rezone approximately .844 acres of real property located at 715 North A Street from neighborhood commercial to residential 7.5 zoning. Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a few comments about this particular location, because I've ridden by it a number of times. And one of the things that is not depicted in this picture is that there is a permanent median on the main road on which this property sits. And I realized that last month, when it was discussed, there were, from the planning commission meeting, there was a recommendation, I think actually from Mr. Fetter, that, to have shared driveways. That may need to be the situation with this, but a recommendation is not concrete. And so I think this really needs to be, this concept or this rezoning needs to be either tabled until all of this is sorted out, because that permanent median, depending on where the driveways are, from my perspective of what I saw, impedes traffic, because when you're gonna have your trash trucks, brush truck, and the mail person delivering on that route, but then you have that permanent median, nobody can go around it. But then, in a hypothetical situation, someone from one of those homes comes out and goes up to the gas station or leaves. Depending on where these driveways are, and if they have shared driveways, they're not gonna be able to turn into their driveway because of that permanent median. They're gonna have to go down and go around that median to get into their driveway. So at this particular point, because I see an impediment to traffic and concerns about how the people that would reside in these homes, whether they're owners or renters, it seems to me that there needs to be a little more due diligence on this project before the council proceeds.
Does that permanent median go in front of those other houses as well?
What I
Yeah.
was just thinking.
It does not?
I did not see it. It starts in front of that property.
Well, that median doesn't accomplish anything. We could always just take a bulldozer and pick it up. I don't know why.
That would have to be at the expense of the owner of the property.
I don't know why Larry and the boys wanted to do that 10 years ago, and the bicycle lane and all that. Took out those 4 lanes.
Well, there's a lot of places all over this country that you have only one way to turn, and you've got to go down and make a U-turn to get on the side of the road that you need to be on. But, so I don't see any issue with that median. Especially if they have shared driveways, and I'm sure, Mario, if they go to build, would that be a requirement?
Yes, ma'am, that's one of the things, they recommended it, but the staff will make sure that happens correctly. And DOT also makes sure that happens. So DOT will look at the situation and say, this is one way in, one way out, where that's how they come in, that's how they go out. It is happening, it's gonna happen more frequently, especially on busier roads when they try, if you see, I'll give an example, if you go down to, Lawrence Road, it is commercial, but a lot of those roads are becoming, they don't want people to cross into the lanes anymore, so they're making right in, right out. and you'll see more and more of it. I've seen the same thing happen over here at East Townhomes. It's right in, right out. One is both ways, and the other one's right in, right out. So they are forcing that situation to happen more on the roads. They're trying to limit the amount of access points on the roadway, and that's how they're doing it.
The only point that I'm making is, number one, whatever has happened in the past, we can't change that, this is new.
Right.
We're trying to forge a new path forward, and currently, as I see it, I would just like to say that perhaps we need to table this until we have concrete information on this to make sure, because with that median in the middle.
We will make them do that.
Well, I know that, but, you know, we used to have things, and I don't really wanna go there, but we used to have things that were in the ordinances, and they still weren't there. I think that it is imperative for this council to know exactly what we're voting on before we move forward. And right now, I see that as an impediment to traffic and an impediment to access to that property. And a recommendation is only a recommendation unless it's
We will follow.
documented and part of the
It was
proposal.
based upon the way it would go to staff, and staff would make sure that that happens.
Okay. That's just my opinion.
Which one of these numbers is the lot system?
It's above 7-Eleven.
The
The
one
big,
without
the big blue one?
Oh, the big blue one without a number at all?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought, the way they kinda added up that way.
What's, do we know what the plans are for that?
They want to put some lots in there,
Several?
3 or 4.
It's pretty small, I've rode by, it's tight in there, and I was just concerned.
Well, he owns 7-Eleven, 709, I think he owns 707 also, same owner. And that's,
I rode by on the sidewalk here, this house at 101, there's a buffer right there, is there gonna be any kind of buffer?
no, there's no buffer between residential zones.
Okay. It's small.
Thank you.
Mario, if the property is not rezoned, the median would be there
Yes, sir,
regardless.
regardless. That was done as a road diet. A lot of people are doing that now to take away extra lanes where you don't really need them. That's one of the reasons why they do that. It's started more and more.
Thank you. Any more discussion on that one? Second one we have, I'm sorry, Jim, did you have something?
No, ma'am, I said, bless you.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
If that's out of order.
No, it's fine. Sometimes you're quiet, I have to make sure we hear you.
I didn't hear a second.
Second reading of ordinance 2025-08 to adopt a revised business license ordinance in accordance with the Business License Standardization Act that the state requires us to do, and this is the second reading. Any discussion for this? Okay, we'll do second reading of ordinance 2025-09, authorizing the conveyance of an easement across the Doodle Trail.
That's properties 306, 310, and 308. And as we said last month, the driveway going across has always been, well, for a long time with no easement. They wanted to record an easement to have access.
This is our second reading, so there's, may not be,
That's the southern weaving, okay.
No, no. It's just,
Concrete.
Oh, okay.
And for those of y'all that haven't been there, that place is a huge success.
Yeah, that's nice.
Pickens County Concrete?
No, Southern
I
Weaving,
missed it. Oh, okay, yes.
it is packed out. It doesn't appeal to some of us older people, but it was full of kids and stuff, loud, and everybody, it was packed. It was just a big success. Good for the town to have things like that happening.
Okay. Any more discussion on that one? We can go to the next one. We have a first reading of ordinance 2025-11 to repeal the City of Easley zoning ordinance and the land development regulations and replace them with a unified City of Easley development ordinance. Okay, discussion?
Why are we voting on this when we haven't had an opportunity to discuss the other half of the questions? And there's, even in the spreadsheet, it says council to debate. There's, I think, 12 items.
Mario, those,
And I can speak, I mean, I know that we had this conversation last workshop, and we did announce, it was recorded at our work session, that we were going to put a copy of the UDO that we had adjusted for the questions in your mailboxes. Some of them stayed there for 4 weeks, but they went out 4 weeks ago, so y'all have had 4 weeks to call each other and discuss it.
There are
And then
there are
we're here, so we can discuss it.
There are 6 items for debate, and the debate is because we had to see, you have to make the call. So we could have had, this is the best time to do it. You're in a city council meeting instead of having a special call meeting to do it, or, so this is the time to start it. You have the 6 questions that we put out there for you, if you want to answer them or not answer them. Or change them, but leave them the way it is. And we can go through each one if you want. But that's the way we said there's 6 of them to be answered. So you guys can look at it and say, yes, let's do this, or no, we don't do it. So either way, this has to be voted on by somebody.
Well, while we're here, why don't you go ahead and go over those 6 questions, and since everybody's here, and we can resolve
Well,
those.
that's what I like,
hopefully.
that's what I'd like to do.
Well, can we? I mean, would
No,
that
we're
not be
gonna
making
vote on
it?
it,
We're not voting
we're gonna go
on it.
over them.
You wanted to discuss it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
My question, when we say decide on it,
Well, there's a question,
I heard discuss, but.
Okay.
Regardless, this is what we're gonna do. So the first one is, sorry,
Yeah, Mario, do you have a copy of this list?
I sent it to everybody. I can make some more and get them to you before the meeting. 6.5.2B, maximum size. The question on that one was ADUs, accessory dwelling units. The question is, do we want to have accessory dwelling units? So the accessory structure was in there, and that's like a storage facility, something like that. That's gonna be 1,200 square feet. The accessory dwelling unit was put in there, and the question came up, do we want accessory dwelling units? Now, that one is for the first 2, it's the same thing. Do we want accessory dwelling units to be done now, or do we want to come back at a later date with more information on accessory dwelling units? We can do that as a separate ordinance that lays things out in detail on that. So those are the first 2 questions, is should we remove the accessory dwelling units from the ordinance?
Okay. And I think it would seem to me that, these are responses that council can send to the administrator as to their opinion on these matters, is that correct?
well,
So we can't-
Daniel,
No, this is your vote.
Daniel, you might need to come up and clarify, but
Well, I didn't mean all at the same time. If I sent an
No.
email to you, individual emails.
But we're talking about voting tonight, is
No,
what the question is.
no, not voting.
I didn't hear, but over in the council meeting.
Oh,
So if we vote tonight, what would be the procedure on each individual of these 5 or 6 items that Mario has?
So what I'm advocating is going to vote for this one way or the other with these stipulations,
Like an amendment?
amendments.
Well-
well, this is the first reading anyway.
Yeah.
And this could come in, it could be, depending on how it's done, and then there could be an amendment, because it's not as if this is the end all and be all of this document. It will be changed and modified over time.
Would like to keep to a minimum.
Well,
Daniel,
Cory
can you,
might like it.
can you clarify how it would go tonight if we want to change anything in the draft?
Yeah, so, 2 options. One, you take each amendment one by one. Once the matter comes to the floor for approval, then if you want to make an amendment to any part of the UDO, a proper motion needs to be made, seconded, debated, and then each motion amendment voted on. And then go back to the main motion, and so you do that for each amendment that you want to make. The second option is that you discuss them tonight, and then it's presented at second reading as amended based upon this list of topics that Mario, and I haven't seen these,
Based on discussion?
yeah, based on discussion, and then you would vote on any others amendments at the second reading. And then to Denise's point, I think I've already told council before, you know, this is gonna be a working document for a little
Right,
while.
right.
And you're gonna have to come back periodically, every 6 months or so, and make some adjustments. So,
So Mario, why don't you read off the things, and then we can talk about whether or not we want to do one.
Wait a minute, Mario.
Sure.
What document do you have? Because I don't think I've
The
seen
last
that.
draft,
This is what I had.
I sent the whole draft to you too. It's in your
And it was in your
mailbox also.
box.
Well, I picked up everything Friday.
This was 4 weeks ago.
I sent this out as a email.
Let me see that. You sent this out as an email?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you want to read, you want us to read the list and have him?
He can just go through it.
Okay.
I don't remember. Doesn't mean it's,
That,
it
well,
could have
this,
accidentally got deleted. I don't know. have to
I'll
go
get
back
you a
and look.
copy of these before the meeting.
Because the thing of it is, there's like 15 items here
Right.
that we haven't even discussed.
But a lot of them we just,
And that's what I'm saying, at our 2-hour meeting that we had on the 28th, we only got through 50% of those questions. You sent out this, answering these questions, but we never got to discuss them. I don't know why we can't table this and have a meeting.
Well, because the moratorium expires in November, and if we don't pass what we want, we revert to the original documents,
23 ordinance.
because we don't know that we will extend the moratorium. So,
Well,
I thought we
would-
discussed these,
I'd like
because
to make a
we've had it, I mean, I've had the document since you emailed it. And these were items that were brought up at the 2-hour meeting that Ms. Rainey just mentioned.
Some of them were brought up and some
And
said,
with the act.
some of them were just typos and other things like that.
Right.
The major emphasis is on the questions that y'all answer, because it was questions about ADU, which is accessory dwelling units. We didn't want to, planning commission didn't want to just shove it down your throat and saying, here's what we're gonna do. So we decided it was a question that was for council. It's on, it should be on there also.
No, it is.
So read us what you have,
Okay, so that was the first ones, first two about ADUs.
okay?
The second one is about, the second entrance. Maybe best, let me go make a copy of this, bring back. Is that okay?
Okay.
Sure. No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, while Mario's gone, I would like to comment about what I saw transpire over the weekend, Justin.
Yes, ma'am.
That if density isn't addressed and is left unchanged, there will be little, if any, impact on growth. And that's from your post, which lit a firestorm on Facebook, and I guess that helps expand your fan base, but facts matter. That the density was changed in August of '23. Understanding, everybody was thinking that developments, all these developments were under those density requirements listed. No, all those buildings that were approved between 2020 and 2023, August of '23, were under the density limits from 2015. There have been no large housing developments approved since those changes in August '23. The city hired a consultant in '24. He's been present at 8 public meetings, 2 of which were open house events. I've attended many of these meetings. I've emailed the consultant countless times. The document is almost 200 pages. I brought up feasibility. This is just one document that has about 5 pages to it. And I have had conversations and met with Tom, our administrator. And actually, last week, I met with Tom and Mario and the new city planner, Corey, on the 2 entrance requirements and the sidewalk issues, among other things. How many emails did you send the consultant? How many meetings did you have with the city administrator? I've never received an email or a call from you about any UDO except this morning when you want to table this. And this is a similar thing that you did to the budget when we had it earlier this year. Again, facts matter. And besides the density, which has already been clarified, what are your current questions and concerns? Because we've asked this before, and to infer that members of this council have not had enough time to review this document is an enormous insult to those that have been involved. I know I have spent an enormous amount of time on this. I can't speak for anybody else. We've had 2 drafts of this UDO, and if you and others are trying to besmirch this council, or the majority of this council, I'm just gonna say, shame on you. Because many people have worked for over a year on this document. And I'm in no way suggesting that you're supposed to vote yes on everything. However, timely communication is essential to reconciling matters in advance. Contributing nothing ahead of a vote and expecting the city to come to a screeching halt because of what you and others want is really absurd and is harmful to the city. We're not mind readers. This information, these concerns could have been sent out at any particular point in time. And for the record, there have been many cost savings implemented by the new members of this administration, which had to compensate for the $10.6 million COVID cushion spent by the previous administration. Now, the spending aligns with the department and is allocated to. However, a police car driven by the former mayor, not provided by ordinance, was eventually paid out of the police budget. Bank statements are all reconciled, and there aren't cash balances being decreased by $80,000 due to unsubstantiated expenses, which one person that's running for office has said that it was written off. Written off, I don't think taxpayers want to hear that money has been written off. That's not accountability. This circus atmosphere does not benefit the citizens. It detracts from working for Easley. The city has former police officers coming back to this city, a traffic unit's been created, a direct patrol unit has evolved, we have additional firemen and more certified professionals enforcing city ordinances. These are positive results for Easley. And I just really don't appreciate this because you did this at the budget. You never gave us any specificity when asked about what changes that you wanted to this budget. And some members of this body have worked assiduously to right this ship and offer efficient solutions, reducing expenditures and organizing and repairing what's been done and trying to make Easley great again. So for this to come up here again obviously looks like a stunt because we all have computers, we all have phones, and this could have been, all of this could have been brought up in advance of tonight. Trying to stop this, I think, is really irresponsible.
So your suggestion was we were supposed to email each person individually to keep it from being a quorum, make a phone call, then call somebody else. That is a ridiculous request.
That's your opinion, and you're entitled to that.
So the third item is the second entrance on 75.9.3. Originally, this was 51 lots, keep it 51 lots for a second entrance. It was decided that a second entrance would be looked at every site would have a traffic study done to see if a second entrance was needed. And so the question is, do you want to keep it as 51 lots, or do you want to change it to second entrance and a traffic study is done? So that was that's the third one.
Okay.
The fourth one is lots that are adjacent to a protected water body, basically a creek. There was a question of making it 50 feet, which is relatively large. Currently, we have 25-foot wide, or 4 times the width of the water body at its widest, whichever is greater. So if you have a 3-foot wide creek, it would be 12 times that on both sides of the creek, but typically it's on one side because typically the creek is a roadway, is the property line.
How many times wide?
4 times the width, or 25 feet, whichever is greater.
So
So
it'd be-
the smaller the creek, the smaller the buffer.
So would it be
So when you get to
50 or 12 feet on each side, or 12 feet total?
both sides, the side that you're working on, typically it's the side you're working on. A creek is 9 times out of 10 going to be a property line. So you'd like to keep the buffer on one side. People wanna stay away from creeks anyway, it's just a good thing, it's a good planning tool.
Or whichever is greater, so it's, in that case, it'd go to 25.
No, yeah, 25, I'm sorry.
Okay, wait a second, so you said if you had a smaller creek, if it's 2 feet,
Well, 4 times the width, right?
okay.
So whichever is greater, so 25 feet is typical, and if it's 10 foot wide, it'd be 40 foot wide buffer, I'm sorry. So the buffer would increase substantially as the creek gets wider. Typically, when a creek gets wide anyway, it becomes instead of a stream, it becomes a creek. You have floodplain, you have a lot of things you can consider with that also. So that's the question, do you wanna leave it at that, at 25 times 4 times the width? Or do you wanna change it to a specific width, 50 foot, 25 foot, or whatever?
That's
That's-
4, okay.
That's the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So the fifth one is, the word is may. So anytime a property comes in with more than 100 parking spaces, the question is, it may be required to submit a traffic impact study. Would you wanna change that may to shall? And the last one is, and I think we already took a poll on this one, is to get rid of the campground in RV parks.
Yeah,
We
talked
basically
about
pulled it
that.
out, we already pulled it out, but I wanna make sure you guys are good with us pulling that out.
I think when we talked at the 2-hour meeting with the MRB,
pulled out that, right.
I didn't hear any council member.
But there's good, I wanna make sure that you're okay with that.
Yeah. Okay, so then I guess we need to discuss if we wanna make an amendment to make all these changes in one fell swoop, or as Mr. Hughes said, if there's disagreement or different thoughts about these, suggest each one individually,
Correct.
or do the one amendment maybe on the second reading, or even tonight if somebody wanted to amend it with these.
Yep.
So you could amend it tonight or second reading with these.
If you could vote on first reading tonight, or approve as is, and then go address the amendments before second. Or you could take the amendments, whatever amendments that want to be made. If a council member wants to make an amendment tonight, they can make a motion.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
what,
It sounds more reasonable, more efficient to approve it tonight and then come back on the second reading with an amendment. Because it would all be together
it would be
instead of.
cleaner.
Yes. And it would give individual members time to ask any questions if they need clarification on this, on any of those particular topics.
To tighten the amendment up.
Yeah, I think that's why we're here now, is to ask questions to Mario about
These
these
6.
and any other issues.
What's the benefit of not having a separate ADU and putting it in the UDO? Is there, I mean,
It was a question we didn't want to answer, the planning commission did not want to answer, they felt it was more relevant for the city council member to answer. You could pull it out, and we could take it out right now, and we will develop, let me introduce Corey. Our city planner and I will get together and create a ADU ordinance to look at, so you can look at it and understand it and have some strict control over what needs to be done on the ADU.
What's
But
the
the A-
excuse me, what's the definition of ADU?
Accessory dwelling unit.
I know
It's
that.
It's a it's a unit, typically it's a garage apartment. It's a structure you can put behind the house. Typically, it's done on a larger lot, a 10,000 square foot lot. It is, again, typically, it's a house is owned by the landowner, occupied by the landowner, and the house behind, or apartment behind, is set up for an in-law suite or another family member. That's what typically happens. It's very difficult to say that's what's gonna happen. We will look at the ordinances that are around and see if we can make sure that is mandated. I think mandating that the owner lives there is very important. The houses cannot be separated. It has to be in one lot. They cannot be separated, cannot be sold separately.
Do you think it's too complicated to include it in the UDO? Do you think it's
I think it's too,
deserving of its own
I
ordinance?
think it is a little too complicated to be put in there. I think we should separate that and have a separate ADU ordinance for that.
Because, people are gonna ask about Airbnb and short-term, long-term rentals, and it might be a lot to put in a UDO. And then if you update it as time changes, because people do different things with ADUs, you don't have to update the whole UDO
I
to
agree.
change the ADU if, when Easley hits 50,000 people, they decide, whomever lives here then, they wanna do something different with it. So,
That's my recommendation.
So you recommend we address that separately?
I recommend you do address that separately, yes, sir.
Do you have a recommendation on the second entrance question?
My recommendation is to leave it as is with second entrance with the study being done. If you
Leave
want,
it as is written
as
With
it is
fif-
written
keep
right
it
now.
50.
in front of us?
Yes, sir, that's-
On this piece of paper?
A traffic study will show if a second entrance is needed.
You don't think that should be mandatory?
It's
as
your
in-
call.
I'm asking you.
I don't think it should,
Jim, are you asking if the traffic study should be mandatory or the entrance?
The
The second
51
entrance.
lot, the 51 lots in the current ordinance,
that's a tough number.
that
It's
triggers.
a- It's a tough number to trigger a second entrance. Sometimes you see it, back, in Camden, it was 31 lots.
See, I was gonna say.
So Camden's 31 lots, Easley's 51 lots, other people are using more, some people are using less.
And as we all know, that has been ignored.
It was not ignored, so to speak, but it was based, what happened was, on a lot of these subdivisions, there was only one way to come in and one way out, because the land on both sides was already developed. And then you go to get an entrance on DOT property, and DOT says there's one entrance. So
Well-
it's difficult to get that.
And there are safety and security
Some people,
concerns that can
there's,
benefit
Yeah, they have
from-
well,
stipulations
there's
about
two,
how
there's
far.
two different ways to look at it. You have two entrances, that mean you can get in and out. Sometimes you have two entrances, that means the bad guy can get in and out. So it's a question of, it's a difficult question.
It is, but when you have an ordinance, the ordinance is to be followed.
That-
And I'm gonna go back to, prominent member of the community that does not live in the city that said, at a council meeting, that it's not gonna go over well, but it's not the city's job to, make the decisions that are, financially beneficial to the property owner. It's for the city to comply with their ordinances, so that if someone has a piece of property, and I've shared this with you before, and that piece of property, because they wanna put 100 homes in there, if that piece of property is narrow and doesn't accommodate two entrances, that's not the problem of the city, that just happens to be the shape of the property. And we have an ordinance, and not yet, it's not legal, but we had one before that wasn't being followed. So if
I
we're
think
not
that's
gonna
the
have some.
application, that's the application, but the question for us is, do we leave it at 51?
Well, I understand that, but again, with this one, it says based on a traffic study. Look at, Mario is mentioning Meadow Ridge. There again, I think that particular issue is going to require a discussion with the council and make a determination on what they think about that. I mean, because there's, I know one development that has, I don't know how many homes in, and, I mean, it's well over 100. One way in, one way out. Anything happens there, those people cannot get in or out of that
So
development.
are you recommending taking this out of our second reading suggestion? Is that your recommendation, or that we change the number, or what is your?
No, I would suggest that this needs to be a separate, or can be amended for the second reading of the ordinance.
With this number or
You
a
want
different?
51.
I'm 51. I mean, I'll go for 31 if anybody wants to jump in there.
So that's your recommendation, and then,
On the lot, I think what we have currently is pretty good, 25 foot wide, or 4 times the width. 50 foot is
on the
tough.
water bodies, yeah.
Yeah, water body stuff.
Well, I'm not a water body expert. Do you guys have any other opinion? I mean, I'm trusting the engineers and the planners
I
and,
think it works really well,
As written.
as written.
and then,
Then may or shall,
yeah, I think, I'm fine with shall.
that's
I
fine,
mean, may is kind of,
that's fine. I'm gonna try, and campground and RV park, we just say take it out.
oh, me,
thought we already
me,
said it was-
yeah, I don't think.
Just making sure you understood.
Has anybody changed their mind about campgrounds and RV parks? Okay, we're good.
One of my major things is the stormwater runoff. And I just wanna make sure that this policy is updated and compatible with.
The ordinance is being rewritten as we
Okay,
speak.
so that is going forward.
Eddie and Monique and Ryan are looking at it.
Okay. Good, good.
Okay, so I guess for discussion, my recommendation, I agree with Mario, and Corey, I think the ADU should be separate. If we pull this out on the second reading, I think an ADU is worthy of its own. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
Mayor, can I?
Yes,
I'm not
Please.
disagreeing with having a further discussion on ADU, but in terms of it being, I would prefer the city not to have a separate
ADU,
ADU ordinance, it would be incorporated in the UDO.
okay.
Because one of the issues
how would
we
that
have was with having a zoning ordinance and an LDR.
That's true.
So we wanna
That's
have
true.
one document, so I don't see any issue of developing the ADU language later, but incorporating it into the UDO.
Okay, and so then when we add the language later, what does that look like?
Because we'll figure out the best place for it to go within the UDO,
Okay,
and we'll do an amendment to the existing UDO,
okay, so
adding
we don't have to
this
redo the,
chapter,
okay.
section.
Just
You-
Okay.
add a new chapter to the end of it,
Or
Or somewhere in the middle,
somewhere in it,
or in the
so
middle of it,
somewhere.
somewhere.
And
section 5.77 or whatever it is, I mean, we can,
So
we
we
can handle
can
all
do
that.
that?
yeah.
Okay,
Just
okay.
for information, we have drafted one, Corey's in the middle of fine tuning it. And so it's something we can get to y'all, I don't wanna
Before
put
the
it in here
second.
now, I want you to digest it, make sure you're okay with it.
Okay,
I'm not gonna shove it down your throats.
okay.
Just because other cities have the ADU, doesn't mean that we have to have it. I bought my house in a subdivision because it was a single-family subdivision. I think you open up, if you allow that you're gonna have it misused. You are not gonna be able to, find out, or, if people's renting it to people, and it's not a family member, or they're gonna pretend to be a family member. I would just really like to see it taken out.
That's fine. What we'll do is we'll generate it, let you look at it, and then make sure, if you don't like it, that's fine, doesn't bother me. I just wanna make sure everyone is aware that it's one of the things, one of the trends we're seeing to keep affordable housing in, to keep the housing costs a little bit lower.
Well,
So it's difficult, I understand.
the thing of it is, a lot of people build the mother-in-law suites onto their house. I don't have an issue with that. But I just do have an issue with a separate building, because mother-in-law's gonna die in 15 years, and they're gonna have an empty building sitting out there? You know they're not.
Yeah,
You know they're
I-
gonna rent it.
yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you raise your hand, or?
I just to make
No.
a comment to Councilwoman.
Corey,
I understand your
Corey.
concern. Come up.
We have to be on the microphone, we'll have to.
Get your debut.
Councilwoman, I understand your concern and about how it's intended for one use and then all of a sudden it's spun into something else. Part of the things that I'm looking for is how we can have the most leverage in restricting that. Some scenarios I've seen before is we have it signed with the deed as well and recorded with the county. So that runs with the land. So if a new property owner receives that as well, they're also required to follow those restrictions. I agree with you. We don't want to see a bunch of empty structures in the back of people's yards. This is more for, kids who don't want to live in the dwelling with the mother anymore or the father. This is for the aging population who want to be on the property. This is not intended to be an Airbnb. This is not intended to be a short-term rental. As of right now, we don't even allow those. The only place I would personally consider those is in the core commercial. Maybe like some sort of a short-term rental for the downtown area, I think would be good for tourism. But I do understand your concern, and if you ever have any concerns about that while I'm drafting it, reach out to me anytime. I can just say one of the places I am looking into is Pinellas County. They have a really strict one. They also do a partnership with the property owner who, if they have a elder parent there, they do get a tax benefit as well on the structure as well to incentivize people to do that, or they use it for affordable housing. So
So how, I mean, restrictions are good, but how is it enforceable?
well, so, I mean, we obviously have to have some teeth. So, as far as how we find the enforcement and to get the manpower to do that, you know, we can't obviously rely on neighbors to rat on their neighbor. We always wish they would, but sometimes they don't. So that's, enforcement is a mechanism I'm looking into as well. As of right now, the only thing I've really found, I think that's kind of why Mario's like, we need a little more time, is essentially restrictions on deeds and covenants and things like that. And that's not really the best way to make sure that it's getting done that way, but someone out there in the United States has to have a good one, and we'll find it.
Okay.
So, all right?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Talbot,
Yes.
on ADUs, you could do what my parents did, build a new garage, renovate the old garage into a bedroom, and move your teenage sons into the renovated garage.
Were you the son that moved into the?
I was one of them.
Okay. And look how well you turned out.
That's all in that.
Is there any other questions for Mario or any discussion?
I understand there was some question about densities. You want to talk about that now while we're
About what?
on board?
Density.
The densities, let me just give you a brief history. The densities were established in 2015. In 2023, we took those densities and I think we cut them probably 30 to 40%. So we reduced them substantially under the last administration. The planning commission looked at it, felt it was still appropriate, and left it the way it is. If you guys have something else to say about that, that's perfectly okay.
I don't have anything about density. I have a suggestion for setbacks. Setbacks adds to density. Is there any way we can increase the setbacks
We are going to increase the setbacks to 30 feet
across the board?
across the board,
30 feet,
from front to back.
what about side to side?
I have to look at that. I think it's, I'll have to look at that. I think it's, let's see what we did.
Is that part of the current UDO proposed?
As part of the proposed UDO, yes.
The increased setbacks.
Well, she's talking about the side setbacks. What the side setback does, it creates an area that the house has to be a certain width. Now, the houses they do nowadays are more shotgun houses, which are long and narrow. So I'm not sure how that's gonna, it's gonna be substantially help it, but it's something we can look at.
Well, that's because they can put more dense houses in a subdivision if they make them long and narrow.
Right, exactly. But there is a width. I can't find
It-
that right now.
It doesn't appear in the current proposed UDO that it's 30 feet universally.
We're gonna change it. I'm sorry. It's gonna be changed to 30 feet. That's one of the things I was gonna bring up. So where it is in R7.5 and R6, is 20 feet, we're gonna change that to 30 feet. I think your recommendation is great on that. On the side setbacks, they're all 10 foot, except for RPH, which is 0, and that should probably go to 10 also.
So we're voting on a document that's not really complete. That's what it sounds like to me.
Those
'Cause you
are,
said-
those are things we are
Are they,
looking at.
were they changed in there?
I don't know what you mean when you say we're going to change them. We're
Yeah.
going to change them when? I mean,
Before the
because,
before the next meeting,
Second reading is what you're
second
saying.
reading. We'll go through this and put those, as we go on, we'll put those changes in a document saying, here's what we changed from this draft to the final draft.
Does that include these 6 things that we're talking about, or is
Correct.
it still an
Yes,
amendment? Okay.
those will be in there also.
If,
Some of it's just typos. The 20-foot was front setbacks. After what happened in subdivisions, we decided 30 feet was better.
if no one has any other questions for Mario, do you have a discussion on it generally? So I was surprised when we got our packet on Thursday night. I was surprised to see that we'd be voting on this tonight. As Ms. Rainey pointed out, and I mean, we've just spent 45 minutes asking questions specifically on it, that I don't believe that this document was ready for us to vote on. We're still talking about changes here tonight as far as changing setback lines. This was presented as, this is what we're voting on, but I did not, so I naively assumed that we would not be voting on something that wasn't ready tonight. That was absolutely my fault. I should not have made that assumption.
I made the same assumption.
So that was my mistake. I'll own up to that. The idea and statement that the UDO will not slow growth, I believe you had said that specifically. When asked, what does the UDO do to slow growth? You said it doesn't do anything.
If you want to slow growth, you slow growth. I am not slowing growth.
Right,
We are writing a book
yes,
that's supposed to make it better.
right. You said it does not,
Right.
the UDO does not do anything
Right.
to slow growth. Okay. So we've got a chance tonight to slow growth. I hope that we will table this so that we can get all of these issues worked out before it
If-
comes
if
back
you-
to
If
us.
you table this, okay? If you
Mhm.
table this tonight and do not vote for it, you'll have to, in the November meeting, you'll have to vote to extend the moratorium, or it reverts back to the 2023 ordinance.
Yes. Well, or there's just another meeting, right? Another special meeting.
We could hold a special
We
meeting.
could hold a special
That's-
meeting, that's
that's
another
fine.
option.
That
So-
doesn't guarantee you vote.
But the
Sure.
changes we have are minimal right now.
Sure. So what I'm saying is, I
We
will
may have
support
more.
a motion to table this. I think that the majority wants to vote on this tonight. And so if that is the majority's decision, then I hope the majority will support. I've got, each of you has received 2 amendments. One of them, the first, called Amendment 1, changes the density slightly. It's about a 10% change. Someone from the Planning Commission today had said that that our density is actually lower than the county. That's incorrect. I've got those numbers, I've got those charts and figures.
Which zone are you looking at?
I can show you, I've got the printout.
They're substantially higher than us in some locations.
Okay. The overall, and this is coming from county council, sent me a copy of their zoning printout. But this is what I've proposed is about a 10% reduction in density. It's nothing extreme whatsoever. I hope that if the council moves forward with the UDO, we've got a chance. A lot of us campaigned on slowing growth. This is actually something that actually would. And my second amendment it's a very minor amendment. It is that in the UDO, it requires essentially a convenience store to stock at least 500 square foot of fresh produce. I don't think the government should be in the business of telling a private entity what to stock. But the density is obviously the most important to me, and so I hope,
I hate, but then you say we should tell them what our density should be.
yeah.
So we shouldn't tell them what to stop, we should tell them what their density should be.
Okay.
Well, my question is 10% reduction is what? 10% of a house, 10% of a lot?
10%.
What
the
would that,
So,
what's the great impact of that?
yeah, so I think you've got a copy and it's got the numbers. pretty much it's moving everything up like one category. So that, for instance, 2.5 becomes 2.25, 2.75 becomes 2.5.
Did you suggest that at any of the planning commission meetings you attended?
Not at the planning commission meetings. I did not believe that we would be, I believed that until Thursday, that we were still in the planning stages of this, so no.
What are you basing those changes on? What facts makes life for us better to change them? Or
Sure.
did someone suggest this to you?
Yeah, so no one suggested this. So the fact that we drive down the roads and we see the problems that we currently have with the infrastructure. We see the difficulties that we have meeting the needs that we are at right now. And so to preserve our quality of life, yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we reduce the density by 10% in the
Justin,
UDO.
a question.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
just hypothetical. We slow growth if we implement your changes. Is that what you're saying?
That certainly seems a logical conclusion.
Okay,
If
so,
we allow
I mean,
for less
it's, you said
density.
it's a very minor change. But if we don't,
10%?
I mean, if we, so I don't understand just from a very minor change, how what is being proposed in your amendment is gonna slow growth, but if we don't approve that, I mean, we're gonna have explosive growth because of this minor change. I'm trying to understand the
And where
rationale
did you,
behind it.
what backs that up?
Sure, what backs what up?
That reducing 10% is gonna slow growth more? Where did you get that information that you?
Well, that,
Why do you think it's gonna work? Why do you
Because-
think it's-
because
Increase
less
the
den-
cost of housing, which will slow growth.
yeah, because
By
less
10%.
density by necessity is less houses per acre.
A tenth of the house.
No,
But the
ma'am.
smaller developments is not what people are getting mad about growth. From 100 to 500 acre development, you're happy with leaving that alone. At two units per acre, or 200 to 1,000 houses, folks are not gonna get upset by that. But I mean, that's where people get antsy.
Well, yeah, if,
Excited. So you
Sure,
don't wanna
if-
reduce that one too?
if you'd like to make an amendment to further
No, I-
restrict density,
No,
feel
I'm not
free.
gonna vote for your amendment on the others. I certainly don't need to come up with another.
Okay.
But, I mean, to me, it looks like you're spinning your wheels. You want affordable housing, but you wanna make houses more expensive because the lot's gonna be bigger. And when you have more, your house would've cost you more money if it was on 2 lots instead of 1, so I think you're wrong.
Did you have something to add?
I'll just simply leave the analogy. We all know drill, baby, drill. That brings costs down for oil. The same thing is essential for housing. If you reduce the amount of density and the units that you can get on a lot, that is going to make the property values here skyrocket. The income here is not probably able to withstand that. So our goal should be to have the most stringent policy in place for architectural review, while also maintaining that we can have affordable housing for these people. I want affordable housing, Mario wants affordable housing, but I don't think when you come in here and start reducing the amount of density that you're going to achieve your goal, I think you're gonna have unintended consequences by making the property value here going from 300,000, 400,000, and it's gonna slowly start to creep. I would say, look into it if you want to. I understand what you're set on. I think it's an ambitious goal, but I think that ultimately it's actually gonna end up hurting the residents here more than helping. That's my personal opinion, sir. Thank you.
But it would also discourage the big box builders from constantly coming in here. They're coming in just for profits. They're not coming in here making sure that everybody's gonna be happy. One of the things that really bothers me is, Justin hit on it a while ago about campaign promises. I've heard that we were gonna regroup, we were going to really look at it, and that to me did not happen in this document. The comprehensive plan talks about you need to include affordable housing, and Mr. Fetter brought that up in one of the meetings, and he was shot down and said, well, that's not what the scope is. Well, I didn't even know what the scope was. It was my understanding that we were gonna create a document based off of 2 documents and make improvements to help manage growth better. That did not happen.
All the
Um,
developments that were approved prior to August 2023 were approved under the density limits of the 2015 zoning ordinances. The current densities that are listed in this document have not been utilized by any new applications because there is a moratorium.
I understand that. I don't need you to tell me about that. Let me finish. The open spaces. We need something in there that you cannot count your retention ponds as open space. We need to have something in there so a developer cannot sell the property that a retention pond is sitting on to increase density in that subdivision. That happened in Columbia. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to make a comment about the water basins or stormwater ponds, page 134, those are not allowed to be used for green or open space areas. So,
Okay,
I agree with you, that's not an amenity.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And then another item that I was gonna bring up when we had another meeting that we never had, protested annexations, a procedure for protest annexations.
But what is that?
These people that live in the county, when this property next to them is supposed to be annexed, there is a procedure that they go through to, for this protest annexation. Do you remember any of the details?
I can pull it. I read about it, I pulled it up, it makes sense. It's not something that I've gone into as deeply as I'd like to. But it essentially gives those people who would be most affected by the annexation, obviously except for the property owner, but the people immediately around the annexation at least a chance to express their opposition to it.
And with Brown Drive, a lot of those were not residents of the city of Easley. And you get into interesting philosophical discussion, how much attention does city council give to non-citizens? And
That's a good
then,
question.
as a de facto matter, we had protest annexation with Brown Drive, which protest was ultimately successful.
In addition, the meeting that I've had with our city administrator, and I believe I brought it up again when we had the meeting last week with y'all. Number one, the signage for any annexations are going to be bigger than what has been in the past. I presented that as a recommendation, and Mario, correct me, was that implemented in this UDO? That it was gonna be larger signs?
I do not know.
Okay,
I think
well,
I saw it.
That's a,
it was gonna be larger signs. We talked about this last week, that neighbors that live within a certain radius of this property will receive written notification from the developer
we'll do that.
so that they will be aware. So even if they miss the sign, they're going to know about it. This was something that came up from the 2022 comprehensive plan that Petrea had done. So these were things that I've carried over from when she was having those meetings in 21. I retained that information, and I've incorporated things that she presented for smart growth, efficient growth into this document. I have referred it to, it's been referred to Mario through Tom.
We
So
have an annexation.
people will know about annexations in advance.
Yeah, I protest annexation isn't, it's not an informal term just to mean alerting people to it. It's giving them a stake in it. I can't tell you all the details of it, but it's not just about notice. And I agree, and you did, you have spoken for increasing the notice given to people, you know, in the areas surrounding that. I think that's very
Well,
good. Protest annexation is just a different
What I don't
animal.
understand about all this is we're 12, 16 months into this. And now we're hearing about protest annexations and these different matters. Like, as I said, I can only speak for myself. I made appointments with the city administrator. I came to City Hall and met. I sent emails. I communicated with the consultant. That's what the whole process of this is. At some point in time, we have to look at, we extended this moratorium. It has a deadline. I just don't understand why all of this stuff is coming up at the nth hour. We have a document that, as our esteemed attorney has said, can be amended. But I think that it's delinquent to have these matters that people haven't even heard of to come up tonight. I think we have a document that needs to come up to the council for a vote. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it needs to be voted on, and as anything else, it can be updated and modified between the first reading and the second reading.
But it's not a final draft. I don't think we should vote on something that's not a final draft.
That's your opinion.
The point that Mario is still updating that document, I didn't get an email telling me he's updating that document with
Well, you
those.
said you may have accidentally deleted it. I don't know.
Did you
That's
get an
up to you.
email?
I haven't told you I was updating yet.
See, he didn't tell
So
anybody.
how would, I mean,
So
how
this
would
is
we-
not a final document.
It's on the agenda, we'll vote,
The-
and if you vote for it, fine. If you don't, fine.
Well, I just think you're trying to ram this thing through. I don't know if it's for political purposes or not, but I think we have a right to extend that moratorium, and we could do it for 3 months, not 6, until this document is right.
And you are
Um,
entitled to that opinion.
We have not been given an opportunity for every one of us to discuss this. Ms.
We're
Davison
discussing
having
it now.
private meetings, and then nobody else has heard about this or what's come out of those meetings?
So what was?
You
She
can
said you
schedule a
had-
meeting anytime you want to. You've
I
been
had a
on.
meeting with these guys. talked
Did
about
you have a
stuff.
meeting?
He didn't
I
ask
didn't-
for one.
Questions, I got
I
one.
didn't request a meeting.
It's a living document, you're gonna tweak it over.
But the whole thing of it is, we only went through half of this document in that meeting that we had for 2 hours. My expectation is we were gonna have a second meeting to go through the rest of the document. And that didn't happen, so I thought we would go through the rest of the document here. But there's a lot of these things that Mario has put answers that we haven't been given an opportunity to discuss among all of us.
We've just discussed it.
But fine, I know we're gonna be outvoted, y'all gonna go ahead and vote for this, so
Well, did you
Well-
send an email and request a second meeting?
what
mean-
good would it have done? We know that she's
Well, I
not gonna
just
give
said
me a
that
second
we're-
meeting.
We're not mind readers, and for y'all to keep this information to yourself and then spring it here for show voting, I disagree.
Well,
What would satisfy,
That we table this and discuss it like we were supposed
so
to.
we got till November.
Well, now, we've all
I'm
read
not-
every word of this
I'm
thing,
not
and
there.
I'm sure you have, and I had a couple of things that kind of tweaked me in one chapter that we had a discussion about, but my point is, I didn't see anything. If you had anything that you read across there that you questioned, now's the time to bring it up.
Not
Go
at
to number
5 after 6.
8.9 and say, what is this, and let's tweak that or something. Or vote on it tonight and do it between now and next month. I think
I
veterans
think
have
we
enough.
need to move
We
on.
do, we do have
Yeah.
several things.
At 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we have several other items we do need to talk about, and then you can decide and talk between the sessions what you guys want to do. We have the first reading of ordinance 2025-12 to amend the FY 25-26 operating budget to authorize the purchase of IT equipment for the police department. So we're going to talk about that at the next meeting or here?
No, talk about it now. Jordan or Chief Weiner? Just real quick background.
Yeah, we need a real quick.
Real quick, real quick. So we, like we said last time, you guys understand, we do have some very big IT security issues we need to update. There's no question, I believe he's a lot smarter than I when it comes to IT, but he tells me that some of this stuff is ancient and we're just kind of revamping, and we have to update our IT security. And obviously you guys understand where I'm coming from when I say that, so.
And is the IT security for
The police
the
department.
police department?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions or discussion for the chief or Jordan? No, we
Is there
talked
any
about this
recurring
last meeting.
expenses?
Yes.
How much are those gonna be?
After the initial amounts are paid out for contracting to pull data across, the annual cost after this is $122,349.84.
And we do get some of that back.
Correct.
Where do you get it back from?
From the 911 Commission.
I talked to someone who told me that probably wasn't gonna happen. So what happens if it doesn't happen?
Who did you speak with?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter if it's fact. And we need to
I'm just
know.
asking a question. What happens if it doesn't?
And then my question is, who told you that it wouldn't?
I'm not telling you.
Then,
That information was given in executive session, so if we're having other discussions outside of that, I mean, I feel like.
No, it was after it hit the, agenda.
We would come up with another solution.
What was the amount that you expect to get back?
That's determined by that commission board.
Do
We
you
don't
have
have
an
an exact,
estimate?
we do not have an exact estimate. It's based on, so there's two different pots that they pull from. One is an expense, and you can look on their website, it's all public. They give you information that you can submit every year that you get reimbursed for. The other one is a quarterly call volume reimbursement. Correct.
I got a call today from a county council. I got a call from Alex Sada today, and he said, use my name, tell them. It honestly was a little bit, I wasn't 100% positive following it. He said that there was some new county system coming into place and that we could go our own way on it if we wanted to. He believed it would cost a very great deal of money and that we would lose access to a system. I told him that I wasn't privy to discuss everything with this, but that I told him I would bring that to the council's attention, his statement. I would hope maybe there could be an additional discussion with someone with the county before committing to this, just on the off chance that it would be helpful.
He wants us to stay in with the county. Wants our money to help go in with the county on all this, rather than us breaking away.
That was what I took from it.
Right, and we can really trust the county
Hey,
to send us the check and do everything.
any other questions or discussion for these two before we move on? We discussed this last month, and any other questions?
Okay, will the city residents be paying twice for the same service?
No.
Okay. And is there gonna be any additional security measures in place to prevent hackers from taking over the system? Because I believe that's what happened at Pickens County.
Pickens County got hacked?
Yeah.
Yes, so there was an incident with Pickens County that wasn't put publicly. That whole issue aside, yes, there will be more security. That's why we're bringing it in-house. We don't feel like the security.
That was a private.
Correct.
Yes.
We feel like the security that is currently being implemented by the county is not up to the standard it should be.
Hence why
They got
I
hacked.
discussed what I told you guys last time.
Sounds like there's some really interesting conversations that we would like to have been part of, but apparently we weren't supposed to.
Could this money not be found within the budget to cut instead of adding?
Well, the vote up tonight is for the amendment that we discussed last month. So, and that's what the questions are, not new agenda items.
When did Pickens County get hacked?
We can't, that's not my business
Pardon?
that's not my business to discuss.
That's not, well, that's,
Well, you just confirmed a rumor, because I wasn't sure if that was true or not. That's what I had heard.
We found out about that long after the fact, since our systems are tied together from a security standpoint, from cybersecurity in general. It should have been shared with us because that does impact us. It wasn't, and that's a huge liability that I'm just not willing to take on for the rest of
Did it include the Register of Deeds?
I will say this, Jordan Anderson is one of the best IT people I have ever come across. He's very smart, he's very good at what he does.
fabulous.
And when he tells me, hey, we need to do this, I trust that. And to be honest with you, based on what we discussed, this is the guy I would like to handle as far as IT security is concerned. 'Cause
Rather than trusting
technically, there's-
somebody in Pickens.
So going back to my original question, did y'all look to see if any of this money could come out of the current budget by cutting it instead of?
You should have asked that question when we discussed it last month. This is
But-
what we have in front of us tonight.
I think
This-
Jordan,
If
not-
this is not what you want to vote on, then don't vote on that.
but not to interrupt, I think Jordan did look at all avenues in his IT budget.
Well, not necessarily the IT budget, across the budget.
We have not looked across the budget.
Okay.
Okay?
Just spending more money.
Thank you. We have reading of resolution 2025-14, authorizing the negotiation, execution, and delivery of a lease between the city of Easley and BGM Financial Services. You'll notice, and I know Mr. Shields and I discussed earlier, we have two of these that are very similar. This is what we did last year for the lease equipment for Parks and Recs that they require council's vote on. Do we need to speak to that? Do you guys have questions? Do you remember doing this last year for the equipment?
That's why there's two of them, one 200 or 200,000, whatever that is, 174 and then 173, two separate groups of equipment. And it's just required by the finance company that we pass these resolutions.
This is not an amendment, this was already budgeted, it's just, this is what the finance company requires.
Yes, this does not affect, there's no addition to the budget. This was in the budget, but the finance company requires our sign off on it. For both of these, 2025-14 and 2025-15, is there any questions or discussion? And then we have reading of resolution 2025-16, calling on the state of South Carolina, Pickens County, and Anderson County to review and to provide a remedy for the congestion occurring along the Brushy Creek Road corridor into Anderson County. This is a resolution showing council's concern for that road and request for assistance looking at it. Is there any discussion? Okay. Tom, you want to do project updates, or we?
Yes, ma'am. Real quick, we've got 5 minutes only. Chief Liner? Or less. You can go less.
I'll go less. I'll hurry. So this is actually some really, really good news. We actually have a new foundation with the police department. Excuse me. There's a board. I'm completely separate from the board, but it's a foundation. There's tax IDs. I just want to make you guys aware of it. It's really, really good news, and it's not to supplement the budget. but it gives people the opportunity that want to give and actually have a tax write-off as well. A lot of this money goes to, for instance, if we need a dog that costs $20,000, we don't want to necessarily have to come to here and get that. We maybe can raise the money, or if we need to help someone in the community, we can do that as well. So there's a lot of really good things with the foundation. The big thing is letting you guys know that it's completely independent from the city, but it is a foundation that we have started. The second thing real quick is on Wednesday, hopefully we have some really good news. So Captain Green and Officer Blinky and myself have been working on a grant for pretty much the entire summer. And I have been told that I can tell you guys, I'm very, 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 very confident that we're going to get this grant. This grant is, through its lifetime, worth about $8.4 million. It's $500,000 a year. It's about $480-something thousand a year. It gives us 2 officers for now that actually hit the backside. So in law enforcement, we're kind of starting to change how we attack things. We've always cut off the supply. Now we're trying to stop the demand. The demand is the people that are the addicts. So these officers go out and they try to help these people get off of these drugs. And they also try to help people stop to even get on the drugs in the first place. So it's an amazing grant. We're actually writing the last part of it now to get a civilian, because not everybody wants to talk to the police about these things. So it's really good news. We've had a lot of good things. Our traffic units are starting this week. I want to thank all of you guys for everything. And our DPU starts this week. So if we got traffic complaints, please email me. We actually got people that can dedicate for those. Right now it's just 2, but they're going to do a really good job. Hopefully over time it could grow. That would be amazing, because traffic is probably the #1 complaint that I get. So nothing but good news for me from that standpoint. And I'm super excited, and I cannot brag on the police department and what they do day in and day out. I had to throw that in there. And I know you guys do a lot of hard work, but I do appreciate everything you do. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great news.
Thank you,
for
Chief.
sharing. Any more project updates?
No, ma'am.
We're good? Okay, last on our agenda is an executive session. So we'll be having a vote to go into executive session for legal advice relating to a pending claim, section 3470A2. Question, we're absent of council member. Do we wait or go into?
We have you have the votes to go into executive session without him here. We just make the record reflect
So
it.
does he come in once we enter, or he's not allowed
He
in
can,
once we?
he can come in.
Okay, so do I have a motion to go?
Motion to go into executive session.
All in favor?
And could we add that this pending claim is related to the Metz versus City of Easley case?
Okay.
Just-
Do you want me to say it again, or we just gonna type it?
Well, that's it. I just wanted to make it part of the record.
Okay.
Did he say Mets?
Metz, yes, the Metz versus the City of Easley. So we voted to go into executive session?
Yes.
It's the
Okay.
City of Columbia, not the City of East.
So if you guys would clear the